The glass cracked above their heads. Cold water began to drip through the tunnel roof. Jason Miller grabbed his daughter's hand. Chloe screamed as the lights flickered, then went dark. This was supposed to be a fun family day. Now the aquarium tunnel felt like a trap. You could hear only dripping water and fast breathing. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. A loud crack echoed through the glass above them. Jason looked up in fear. A thin line was spreading across the ceiling. Thousands of gallons of ocean water sat above that glass, waiting to fall. If it broke, there would be no escape for anyone inside. Chloe's small hand trembled inside his. "Dad, I'm scared," she whispered softly. Jason forced a calm smile for her. "We're going to be okay," he said. But he did not believe his own words. Just minutes ago, this had been the best day of their trip. Now it could be the last. Somewhere behind them, a security guard shouted for people to move fast. But the exit door was already blocked shut. Cold water rose quickly around their feet. What happened in the next 10 minutes changed both of their lives forever. Would this father and daughter escape in time? Or would the ocean take everything from them? Keep watching to find out what really happened. 3 hours earlier, everything felt different. Jason Miller worked long hours at his job. He often missed dinner. He had missed Chloe's last birthday party, too. Chloe was quiet and full of questions about the ocean. She loved fish more than any toy. She kept a small notebook full of drawings of sharks and sea turtles. Today, Jason wanted to make things right. He took the whole day off work. "Just you and me, Chloe," he said that morning. "Anywhere you want to go." Chloe did not hesitate. "The aquarium," she said. "I want to see the shark tunnel." The city aquarium was huge and bright. Cool air greeted them at the door, smelling faintly of salt. Blue light glowed on every wall. Fish moved slowly above their heads like colorful clouds. Small jellyfish glowed softly in one quiet corner tank. Families laughed and pointed at the glass. Children pressed their hands against the tank. The air smelled like salt water and popcorn. Chloe held her father's hand tightly as they walked toward the famous tunnel. It curved above visitors like a giant glass wave. Above them, sharks and rays swam in silence. "This is amazing," Chloe whispered, eyes wide with joy. Jason smiled, but a small guilt still sat in his chest. He thought about all the birthdays he had missed, all the school events he had skipped for work. He promised himself today would be different. Today, he would finally give Chloe his full attention. Near the middle of the tunnel, something strange caught Jason's eye. A staff worker stood near the glass wall, talking quietly on a radio. His face looked tense and worried. He kept glancing up at the ceiling. Jason tried to ignore it. He turned back to Chloe, who was pointing excitedly at a passing shark. But then, a soft sound echoed above them. A small drop of water landed on Jason's shoulder. He looked up slowly. A thin crack, barely visible, ran across the thick glass ceiling. Jason's smile faded. Something was wrong, very wrong, and no one around them seemed to notice it yet. Jason thought of the small notebook in Chloe's backpack. Inside, she had written one sentence on the first page. "One day, I want to swim with sharks." That single sentence always made him emotional. It reminded him how much she trusted the world and how much she trusted him. He glanced at the exit sign glowing at the far end of the tunnel. It suddenly felt very far away. The crowd around them kept laughing, taking photos, completely unaware. Only Jason had noticed the worried worker. Only Jason had felt that single drop of water. "Dad, look!" Chloe said, pulling his sleeve toward the glass. A large shark glided slowly above their heads, its shadow passing over their faces. For one moment, Jason forgot his worry and smiled with her. But then another drop fell. Then another. A quiet, steady dripping sound began above them, almost like a warning no one else could hear. Jason grabbed Chloe's hand tighter. "We need to move, now," he said calmly. She looked confused, but followed him without questions. They pushed gently through the crowd toward the exit sign. The tunnel felt smaller now than before. The blue light above them flickered on and off. Somewhere behind them, a child began to cry loudly. The air smelled sharp, like salt and metal. Every step felt heavier than the last. Then, a loud crack shook the tunnel. People screamed and turned around. The thin line in the glass had grown longer, darker, more dangerous. Water began leaking faster, dripping onto the floor in small puddles. More cracks spread across the ceiling like lightning frozen in glass. Beat 1. The problem grew worse. A staff member ran forward, blocking the main exit door with his arms wide open. "Stop! Do not go that way!" he shouted. "That section is unstable. Water pressure could break it completely." The crowd panicked instantly. Someone knocked over a display sign near the wall. People pushed backward, confused about where to go. Chloe grabbed her father's jacket, eyes wide with fear. "Dad, what's happening?" she asked, her voice shaking badly. Jason knelt beside her quickly. "Listen to me," he said softly. "We are going to be smart, and we are going to be brave, together." Beat 2. Jason made a decision that raised the stakes. Instead of waiting for the crowded main exit, he remembered a smaller staff door near the gift shop, one he had noticed earlier that morning. It was risky, it was not meant for visitors, but it might be faster and emptier than the blocked main path. "Follow me," Jason said, pulling Chloe gently through the panicking crowd. They moved against the flow of people, staying low, staying close to the wall. Above them, the crack in the glass kept spreading like a spider's web across the ceiling. A security alarm began blaring loudly through hidden speakers. Red emergency lights flashed on and off along the tunnel walls. Someone near the entrance shouted for calm, but no one listened. Fear moved faster than any announcement ever could. "You are not going to believe what happened next." As they reached the staff door, it was locked tight. Jason pulled the handle again and again. Nothing. His hands began to shake. Behind them, the crowd screaming grew louder. The dripping water had turned into a thin, steady stream. Chloe looked up at her father, terrified but trying to stay calm, just like he had asked. "Dad, is the glass going to break?" she whispered. Jason did not answer right away. He did not want to lie to her. Around them, other families were crying, praying, holding each other tightly. A young boy near the wall kept asking his mother the same question again and again. "Are we going to die? Are we going to die?" His mother could not answer either. Fear had made everyone equal, rich or poor, young or old. Jason looked at the locked door, then back at his daughter's small, frightened face. Something inside him hardened. He would not let this be the last memory Chloe had of him. Then, something unexpected happened. An older woman, a stranger standing nearby, tapped Jason's shoulder. "I work here on weekends," she said quickly. "There's a code panel right there, behind that small sign." Her hands were shaking too, but her voice stayed steady, calm, and kind. In the middle of total panic, one small act of kindness gave them hope again. Jason typed the numbers she gave him with trembling fingers. His hands shook so badly, he missed the first try. He forced himself to breathe, then typed again, slowly, carefully. The lock clicked open. Relief flooded his chest for one short second. But before they could step through, the tunnel shook violently. A deep, terrible cracking sound rolled through the air like thunder. This was beat 3. The breaking point had finally arrived. The glass ceiling, weakened for too long, finally gave way completely. A wall of ocean water crashed down into the tunnel behind them, roaring like a wave hitting the shore. People screamed and scattered in every direction. Chloe screamed her father's name, her small hand slipping from his grip in the chaos. Water rushed toward them fast, colder and heavier than anything Jason had ever felt. It pulled at his legs, pushing him sideways against the wall. He reached out desperately, fingers stretching through the crowd, searching for his daughter. People shoved past him, screaming, climbing over benches to escape the rising water. The lights above them flickered one final time, then went completely dark. In the blackness, Jason could only hear voices, splashing, and his own heartbeat pounding in his ears for one horrifying second. Jason Miller could not see Chloe anywhere at all. "Chloe!" Jason shouted into the darkness, his voice cracking with fear. For a terrible moment, only splashing water answered him. Then a small hand grabbed his sleeve from below. "Dad, I'm here!" Chloe cried out, coughing water from her mouth. She had slipped, not vanished. Relief crashed through Jason harder than the water around them. He pulled her up into his arms immediately, holding her tightly against his chest. "I've got you," he whispered into her wet hair. "I've got you. I'm not letting go again." This time, it was not a promise made from guilt. It was a promise made from love. The staff door was still open just ahead of them, water pouring through the gap. Jason remembered the older woman's kind eyes, her steady voice in the chaos. He looked around quickly, but she was gone, already helping someone else nearby, already saving another stranger's life. With Chloe in his arms, Jason pushed forward through the rising water. Every step was heavy. Every second felt endless. The staff door led to a narrow hallway, dry and quiet compared to the chaos behind them. Emergency lights glowed red along the walls, guiding them forward. "Almost there," Jason kept saying, more to himself than to Chloe. "Almost there." His arms burned from carrying her weight, but he did not stop, did not slow down, did not let fear win. Somewhere behind them he heard glass still crashing, water still roaring into the tunnel. He did not look back. Looking back would only slow him down, and slowing down was not an option anymore. Finally, they burst through a side door into open air. Sunlight hit their faces for the first time in what felt like hours. Ambulances and fire trucks surrounded the building, lights flashing red and blue. Firefighters rushed past them toward the entrance, ready to help others still inside. A paramedic rushed over immediately, wrapping a warm blanket around Chloe's shivering shoulders. "You're safe now," she said gently, checking Chloe's pulse and breathing. Jason collapsed onto the pavement, finally letting his own fear show on his face. His hands shook uncontrollably now that the danger had passed. Tears he had held back inside the tunnel finally fell freely down his cheeks. A nearby firefighter placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did good," the firefighter said quietly. "Real good." Jason could only nod, unable to speak for a moment. Chloe looked up at her father, water still dripping from her hair. "Dad, you saved me," she said quietly. Jason shook his head slowly. "No," he said, "we saved each other." That single sentence changed something inside him. For months, Jason had believed that being a good father meant working harder, earning more, providing everything. Today, inside a breaking glass tunnel, he learned something completely different. Being present, being brave, being there in the worst moment mattered more than any job title ever could. Around them, other survivors hugged each other tightly, crying with relief. A young boy ran toward his mother, both of them sobbing happily. Firefighters carried an elderly man to safety, wrapped in a silver emergency blanket. Everyone had a story now. Everyone had survived something together. Somewhere in the crowd, Jason spotted the older woman who had helped them, now sitting quietly on a bench, wrapped in her own blanket. He walked over and simply said, "Thank you. You saved us." She smiled tiredly and replied, "We saved each other too." Chloe pulled her small notebook from her soaked backpack, the pages damp but still readable. She opened it to the first page, the one with her wish written in careful handwriting. "One day I want to swim with sharks," she read aloud softly. Jason smiled through tears he could not stop. "Maybe not today," he said, laughing weakly. "But someday, I promise, we'll swim with sharks together. Somewhere safe." Chloe laughed too, a small, tired, beautiful sound after such a terrifying day. It was the sweetest sound Jason had ever heard. In that moment, surrounded by flashing lights and wet blankets, something important had shifted between them. Fear had brought them closer than any ordinary day ever could. But the story does not end here. There is one more thing you need to know about that terrifying afternoon. Later that evening, a local news reporter interviewed several survivors outside the aquarium. Jason held Chloe close as cameras flashed around them. "What made you keep moving forward?" the reporter asked him directly. Jason looked down at his daughter before answering. "She did," he said simply. "I couldn't stop because she needed me to keep going." The reporter turned to Chloe. "Were you scared?" she asked gently. Chloe nodded honestly. "Very scared," she admitted. But my dad never let go of my hand, not once. That night, as they finally arrived home, exhausted and still slightly damp, Chloe fell asleep on the car ride back. Jason glanced at her in the mirror, his heart full in a way he had never felt before: work, deadlines, or meetings. He realized something simple but powerful. Time, not money, was the one thing he could never get back. And from that day forward, he promised himself he would spend it differently. He thought back to all the missed dinners, all the late nights at the office, all the small moments he had traded away for work. None of that had mattered inside that dark, flooding tunnel. Only Chloe's small hand in his had mattered. Only her voice, calling his name, had mattered. From that day on, Jason kept a simple reminder in his wallet, a torn page from Chloe's notebook, the one with her handwritten wish about sharks. It reminded him, every single day, of what almost slipped away and what he had chosen never to lose again. He pulled into the driveway and sat quietly for a moment, watching Chloe sleep peacefully in the back seat. The house looked the same as always, ordinary and familiar. But something inside him felt completely rearranged. Still, one question lingered quietly in Jason's mind that night, one he could not quite answer yet. Had that single, terrifying afternoon changed him forever, or would old habits slowly return once life felt normal again? What happened next changed everything. Do you remember that line from the very beginning? Now you know the full truth behind it. A single crack in the glass, one ordinary family day, and one father's promise to never let go again. That is what this story was really about. Not the water, not the danger. The love between a parent and a child, tested in the worst possible moment. Maybe you have never been trapped in a breaking aquarium tunnel. But maybe you know what it feels like to almost lose someone you love. Maybe you know what it feels like to realize suddenly what truly matters in life. Jason and Chloe's story reminds us that time with family is the only thing money can never buy back. Life moves fast, and every one of us gets busy sometimes. We forget small promises. We miss small moments, thinking there will always be another chance later. But life does not always wait patiently for later. Sometimes it takes a single frightening moment to remind us what we already knew deep down. If this story touched your heart today, please subscribe to our channel. We share real emotional stories like this one every single week, told slowly and clearly in simple English. Perfect for learning and perfect for feeling something real. Tell me in the comments below, have you ever had a moment that changed how you see your family? I would love to read your story, wherever you are watching from tonight. Even a short comment in simple English is perfect practice, and I truly love reading them all. Also, please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. It helps our channel grow, and it helps more English learners find these stories around the world. Share it with a friend who might need this reminder too. Next time, we will share another true feeling story. This one about a promise almost broken, and a stranger who changed everything. You will not want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. Your support means everything to this small channel. Take care of the people you love today while you still have the time. Turn off your phone for a moment tonight. Look at the people around you. Tell them something you have been meaning to say. That small moment might matter more than you think, exactly like it did for Jason and Chloe. See you in the next story.